All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. How's everybody doing this morning? Are we awake? Are we ready for another incredible morning? When was the last time that you saw a trainer walk out of here to a Spanish song? Never! That's when. Never. First time, baby. We're pioneering this weekend. I am absolutely grateful. I am extra grateful this morning. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Steve. I feel like this is my very, very first national, and I believe that right now we have a new generation of leadership on the rise. How many of you feel the same way? I believe that, from watching the regional director, the regional director promotions, the regional directors walking the stage, the regional vice presidents, I believe that there's going to be some new faces in the magazine. I believe that there's going to be some new Circle of Champions members. Things are shaking up, and I hope, every few years, this happens. But let me introduce myself for those of you that don't know me. I've been coming to events like this. I've been coming to nationals every quarter and leadership events and regionals and BOMs and attending two-on-ones. I've been plugged into the system for the last 17 years of my life. I literally have been raised right here. 40% of my life I've been plugged into this ACN system and the ACN training. And so I'm going to share with you my experience. I'm going to share with you no theory. I'm going to share with you what literally has shaped my life. It is who I am. And so 17 years ago, I was invited to take a look at this. I was in the middle of the biggest storm in my life. Anybody here ever go through financial issues in the past? Well, here's what was happening in my life. I became a dad when I was 20, and my daughter Jacqueline was a brand new baby. I was going to school. I was working about 35 hours a week, and I was not providing for my family the way that I felt that they deserved. And it's a horrible place to be. See, a belief was instilled in me that a real man provides for his family. And I was not doing a good job at that. I was not doing a good job at that. As a matter of fact, here, look, can we put a picture of Jacqueline up on the screen? Actually, back it up here. That was me, let me back it up. That was me right around the time that I got started in ACN. That's my daughter Jacqueline. That's literally the picture that I had right above my bed every single day that I went out and I worked this business. Every single day I looked at that. Now I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back to that. That's me back then. That's me back right around the time that I got started. Now see, that me was angry. That me was moody. That me had abandonment issues. I was raised by a single mom, and my dad took off when I was 12. So I had issues. I remember coming to an event, and I remember feeling bad when other people were walking the stage. I remember feeling jealous for other people's success. Last night, I was at our recognition dinner, and I saw faces. I saw people's arms crossed because they were seeing other people getting recognized. And see, I needed personal growth. So I'll give you an example of how desperately I needed personal growth. My first national, my upline said, "Efrain, you have to wake up early, and you've got to save seats for the team." So we did. So we saved seats for the team. We got here like at 3 o'clock. Anybody do that? Is that Friday night? So we got here like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're saving seats, and we show up, and we've got seats reserved. And remember this, it was me right there, okay? Just keep in mind, okay? It's not me now, it was me. And so we've got a row of seats saved. And I remember this is when I met Mr. Danny Volnino. He was a team coordinator at the time. And I think he was going through some personal growth too issues that he needed to deal with. So he comes in and he says, hey, I'm taking these seats. And first of all, he's got some guts because, you see what I look like, right? Right? And so I'm like, you're taking seats? You're not taking these seats. Like, I've been here since freaking, 3 o'clock in the morning. And Mr. Dan Volnino says, he tries to pull rank. Well, I'm a team coordinator from New York. I'm thinking, am I supposed to be scared because you're a team coordinator or because you're from New York? Like, I wanted to say, well, I'm a QTT from LA, like, and? I wanted to add, you're about to be a TC from New York with missing teeth, but I didn't say that. We made it. It was cool. It was cool. He's a phenomenal leader. He's been a tremendous mentor. It didn't help in the makeup process when, at the time, Brian Sachs and Jeff Weber are throwing spitballs at him in the cafeteria. That didn't really sit so well with him either. It didn't help the making of progress. But it was a very challenging time back then. It was very challenging. And so you notice in that picture that we had up on the screen, there's a Jacqueline when she was a baby, and there's a person that was cut out from that picture. You notice that? Well, see, how many of you couples who have been through financial issues in the past notice that there can be a lot of pressure when there's financial issues in the past with you in the relationship? But if you're having financial issues, there are fights created. And so it was such a challenging time, and things are said that either are meant or not meant. And my kid's mom said some incredibly mean things to me at that time because it was just a disaster life that we were living. Let me share with you some things that she said. She said, you're never going to make it in ACN. She said, you're never going to make it in ACN. Nobody makes it in network marketing. Your daughter is going to know that her dad is a loser. Those are some serious words. At that time, they affected me big time. It crushed me hearing that from the person that is supposed to be my partner. It absolutely destroyed me at the time. But what it did do is that it gave me another reason to prove another person wrong. And so, Mr. Larry Raskin said, there's going to be some casualties, and you're going to lose some people along the way. So we did. That's my new wife. We upgraded. We upgraded. And let me introduce you to my kids here. That's Christian. Now that's Jacqueline. She just graduated from high school last week. So that's my incredible wife, Krista. You've got Christian, the bigger kid, and Jacqueline, and then the baby, Superman, we're going to call him. I'm going to tell you about him here in just a little bit. So you can never question my loyalty. That is Mr. Mike Kane. It's Mr. Mike Kane holding DeCane Robert Tejada. Okay? If you name your kid after a VP of sales and a co-founder of a company, you know what I'm saying? You can't ever question the loyalty. So let's talk about my topic here. Crucial topic. Weekly meetings, plugging into the system. The name of my, the topic is training. These are the different type of events that happen throughout the week. We've got two-on-ones, we've got conference calls, we've got home meetings happening, business opportunity meetings, leadership meetings, weekly meetings. And here's your mission. Your mission is to take people, as many people as possible, and plug them in to these weekly meetings. See, I've got this thing that I came up with, that when you plug people into the events, leverage the events, people have these switches that are going on in their heads. They see a meeting, they see a business opportunity meeting, they hear an effective presentation, a switch goes on in their heads that says, I'm going to sign up. Then you invite them to Saturday training, and they hear about home meetings, and they hear, the training. A switch goes off that says, I can do it, I want to have a home meeting. And as you plug people in to the system, switches go off. And your mission is to have switches go off. All the switches go off. When all the switches go off, you've got somebody that's ready to go. See, I believe that the greatest single skill in life is influence. Above all, people always ask this question, what should I focus on? I'm an ETT, I'm an ETL, what should I focus on? What will help my business go to the next level? What will help your life go to the next level is increasing your level of influence. Think about this, your kids need to be influenced to clean their room. If you've got an idea, if you want to do something on a massive scale, you're going to need to increase your influence. It's going to be crucial. Now, the topics that are covered at the trainings. There we go. Keep them nice and short. I remember we used to do back in the day, hour and a half BOMs. 2-hour BOMs, just long, boring, drawn-out BOMs. And, so to the Senior Vice President Brian Sachs made some suggestions. We cut them super short. And we focused, our Saturday trainings focused on prioritizing and making the mission the new person, qualifying someone, making sure they have a home meeting, and helping that person promote to ETT. Because there's 3 things that we do every single day. From all the incredible training that you've heard so far, and that you're still going to hear, there's only 3 things that we do. And if you do these every single day, you're on track. Number 1, what we do is we qualify reps. And that includes the launch. Number 2, we present. And the most effective presenting tool that we have is home meetings. So we qualify people, we do home meetings, and number 3, we promote for events. That's it, that's all we do. And of course, with the highest priority being the national. Are you doing those 3 things every single day of your life? If you personally are doing those 3 things every single day of your life, you're on track, to doing incredible things. And then, of course, we've got a mindset that is crucial. I believe a very important topic at Saturday training is also covering the roller coaster. Not only covering the roller coaster, because what happens a lot of times is people will come to a Saturday training or an event, we'll talk to them about how they're going to go through a roller coaster, we'll talk about the roller coaster, but then they leave and they still end up getting toasted out of the business. Someone still ends up talking them out of the business. So not only should we cover the roller coaster, but we need to equip them. Because when people go on this roller coaster, the only way that they can cope with the roller coaster is by quitting the business and quitting on themselves. So we need to equip people with better ways to hang in there. We're going to have a quick conversation about that. So I came up with this thing. I noticed that as I worked with people, I noticed that all of us, our lives, we run a movie in our heads. We play a movie. And so, some of us, we live our lives, and our lives is a comedy. Anybody live their lives like that? Meaning that everything is just hilarious. You just have a good time. Somebody says no, you laugh it off. You come across a challenge, you laugh it off. You have, there's a lot of humor in your life. Now, some people, this is an incredible movie, by the way. It won a ton of awards. I think it was, you can't remember, just a ton of awards. But some people, regardless of their circumstances, make it happen. Some people, regardless, don't let people, don't let money, don't let anything stop them. Some people in their lives, the movie that they play in their heads, they're superheroes. Anybody a superhero? Think about being there's a lot of superheroes, okay? There's Batman, there's Captain America, Superman, Iron Man. I personally, if I was a girl, I definitely want to be Wonder Woman. Who wants to be, that'd be cool, right? You know what I'm saying? You got to fly around in an invisible jet, be powerful, and just to be clear also, okay? Just to be clear, okay? There's only one OG Batman in ACN. There's been some posers, but over here, make that clear. Superheroes, what do? Superheroes, they like fast cars. They They want to buy helicopters and planes, and you see superheroes at the gym, and you walk around, you see these incredibly fit men and women. They spend a lot of time at the gym, going after superhuman strength. They've got superhuman vision. They see things much farther than the average. Now, some people live a life, and their life is a scary movie. You have these reps? You ever come across these reps? This, by the way, is Ava Coker's daughter of Regional Vice President Doug Coker. Here in this picture on the left, the little girl. You ever have reps and they like their life is like scary? It's like, ah! They said no. Or like you talk to them, they're on the way to the BOM and they're in traffic. Oh my God, there's traffic. And it's like in their life, it's like, somebody's always after them, someone's always trying to hurt them. There's always this elaborate story, and then you're like, no big deal. It's like, what the heck? Some people live their lives like that. Some people are 007 mode. Who's 007 mode? Listen, think about James Bond, the world's most famous secret agent. Guy looks sharp all the time. The older movies he wore a Rolex. The newer movies he wears an Omega. Immaculate dresser, drives an Aston Martin, literally gets in fights, gets chased, gets shot. He's been in a gunfight, and he's injured. He's back at his hotel room with a custom suit guy measuring him, a bottle of wine, and he's about to make love to a hot chick. Like he just got shot. It's like no big deal. Regardless of what happens, he's like always smooth and it's no big deal. So how do you help people? There's a delay, if you can make it happen for me. How do you help people? How about Kirk Gibson? Any sports fans in here? See, some people, they live their life and play their life like a game. That's phenomenal. Think about a game. Think about this incredible event here that happened. 1988, the Dodgers were down 4-3. Kirk Gibson is known as the greatest home run of all time and one of the top 100 greatest moments in sports history. Dodgers were down 4-3. He's injured. He can't even walk. He comes up, with 2 outs, down 3-2 or 4-3, hits a home run and wins the game, and he can barely walk around. Incredible. See, some people live their lives like that. Regardless of what the score is, they know that they can always come from behind. It's a great, incredible mindset to have. So what are things that we can do? What are things that we can do to determine what movie we play in our heads every single day? And how do we leverage events for that? We have all heard thoughts are things. We've all heard, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. We've all heard how important thoughts are, yes or yes. We've all heard that. But the missing piece for me over the years was this, that thoughts are crucial for sure. But see, thoughts trigger a feeling. It's the feeling that tells you if the thought is off. It's the feeling that you have to focus on. See, people think feelings are bad. I feel bad. I feel bad that somebody said no. I feel bad that people flaked on me. I feel bad, but it's okay. It is the signal. What thought are you having? So we have thoughts, and we have a thought that triggers an emotion, a feeling, and then it manifests into a reality. So what we have to focus on is fixing the thought. So see, here's what happens at events. Events change people's thoughts. See, I want you to just right now capture how you feel. Do you feel good right now? Think about how you feel right now. But see, you feel really good, but the reason you feel good is because the thoughts, the stories, the testimonials, the training, it's because the thoughts are running through your mind right now. I bet you this week, if there was a way to track it, I bet you over the next 7 days, in the 7 days after every national event, I bet you there's more customers and more team trainer production than any other time. Leaders, you agree with me that this week you know for a fact that you're about to crush it this week, that there's going to be ETT promotions this week and bonuses paid out. How is it, why is it that coming out of an event that happens? That is because right now, this weekend, 20,000 plus peoples Emotions are in check because the thoughts that are running through our minds, the energy here in the room is huge. So let's take a look at what the events does to make sure that, to ensure that you're playing the right movie in your head. See, everybody has the potential to have tremendous success in our business, yes, right? We can agree with that. Anybody can have a home meeting. Anybody can invite. Anyone can go out and get a handful of customers. So we know that the potential is definitely there. Now, if the potential is there, then how come people don't take the necessary action? Because we need to increase the potential so that the right action is taken, and when the right action is taken, what happens? You get the right results. What happens when you take somebody to a home meeting? When you take them to a Saturday training and they schedule a home meeting and they actually invite people and people show up and you've got 10 or 15 people and 2 or 3 people get started, what happens? They feel really good. I remember Patrick Mazur was telling this story at a recording that I listened to. And in this story, he talked about how the difference between someone going to a home meeting and doing everything necessary, making the calls, taking the time, getting out of their comfort zone, having people show up, and having 0 people sign up. 0 people sign up. The next day you call that person, and that person is avoiding you, doesn't want to answer the phone, wants to quit the business. 0 new IBOs. Now, you go to the same person, they make calls, they get people to show up, but you show up to that same home meeting and you help that person sign up 1 rep. The next day when they talk to people and they ask, hey, how's that home, how'd that business go? People say what? Blowing up. They have 1 rep. They have 1 rep on their team. They're like, yeah, this thing is out of control. You have no idea what's happening. We're really making some changes. 1 person can make the difference. See, so then results create belief. What happens when people's level of belief increases? Then the potential increases, and they take more action. And when they take more action, what do they get? They get more results. And see, the events is the catalyst. The people that make the most money is by far, the most success is determined by how many people are plugged into the system, to the trainings, and ultimately the national training. So we know who's going to dominate the charts by how many people you had here on your team. The training is important, builds belief in the opportunity, builds belief in the services, creates duplication. Things happen at a training that absolutely you cannot do on your own. So we might have seen, you may be familiar with the stair steps, the stair step slide. You're moving people through the stair steps. And as you move people through the stair steps, what will end up happening is that the cream always rises to the top. Don't worry about going out there and trying to make anybody a leader. Jeremy Diebel does an incredible training on this. Don't make anyone leaders. Plug people through the system, put them through the stair steps, and the leaders will show up. Leaders will identify themselves. So how do you know if someone's a leader? It's very simple. If you're questioning if they're a leader, you have your answer. If you had to convince somebody to register, if you have to convince somebody to register today, you've got your answer. Leaders don't need to be reminded to register for the next event. Leaders show up early. They help out. They go through the back office. They do everything they need to do without being reminded. So now as you go through these, so as you put people through these steps, I'm going to share with you a secret of our team. How many of you are familiar with the date December 7th, 1941? What's December 7th, 1941? Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. So December 6th, 1941, the U.S. was very non-committal about being involved in any kind of war. They didn't want to get involved. Hands off, leave us alone. The people that had to sign off on getting involved in the war were saying, let's just leave us alone. So the Japanese attack of Pearl Harbor woke up a sleeping giant. They underestimated the power of the U.S. And so what happened was Pearl Harbor became a cause. It became a cause. Now everyone that was against the war said, no, we're going to war. An army general was asked, And they said from a military standpoint, that was a very successful attack, but waking up a sleeping giant was a huge mistake that they made. Now the cause, it became a nationwide cause. Now within that cause, also another cause was created. There was some Japanese Americans that registered for service. And these Japanese Americans wanted to prove that they were Americans, not Japanese. They were Americans of Japanese parents. And this regiment, 442nd Regiment was formed, and it was unbelievable the cause that they were after. I mean, they made a huge difference. It was very well documented and well known. So what you want to do as you put people through the stair steps, you want to create a cause for your team. You know, the cause for your team could be to be number one. The cause for your team could be to get somebody to team coordinator, to get somebody to President's Club, to get somebody to top 10. And within the cause, there has to be little causes, ETT promotions. The person, see, if you look at the production spurts, it's always when there was a cause. What blows my mind is someone is an ETL, they make a run to TC, they put in 20, 30, 40, 50 reps on their way to TC. There was a cause. They get there and they do nothing. Blows my mind. How many of you experienced that? Someone gets started, you know, they have a cause, they're running to ETL, ETT, they want to get the bonus, and they do more, I mean, incredible things. They get there and then they stop. You think about a cause. Think about a cause and you'll see things explode. And as you put people, oops, I think I hit this button by accident. As you put people through the system, what's going to happen is there are some people that are going to want to do this in a big way. There are some people that want to build massive businesses. And with those people, you want to put them through what I call high-level ninja, samurai, Navy SEAL training. Now think about it. When I say Navy SEAL, when you think of Navy SEAL, what do you think of? A Navy SEAL. I mean, a Navy SEAL is trained to survive under whatever condition. A Navy SEAL, a ninja, I mean, superior skills. So I like to ask people two questions when they get started. There's two types of IBOs. There's people that want to make a little bit of money, a few $100 a month, and there's people that want to make life-changing money. Where do you see yourself? I want to make life-changing money. Okay, great. Then if you want to make life-changing money, the sacrifice is going to be a Navy SEAL type of sacrifice. You want to make life-changing money, then the effort is going to be a very different effort. It's not going to be a 5-hour effort. Let's take out your calendar. Let's take a look at what you're going to do. The sacrifice is going to be, let's talk to your family and let them know that maybe we're going to be doing some traveling. There's going to be long nights. We are going to do whatever it takes because, again, your goal is to make life-changing income. See, back in the day, we used to, and Brian Sachs taught me this, back in the day, we used to tell people, if you don't go to an event, then I'm not working with you. Leadership via control. And he taught me this, leadership via influence. Look, it's up to you. But if you want to be a samurai, all the samurais are at the training. But it's up to you, whatever you want to do. I mean, if you want to be, if you want to be a samurai TC or you want to be a jank TC, then it's up to you. But all the samurais are going to be over here. See you later. And let them decide. And you're leading them because they want to be led, because they want that. And so I'm going to share with you now. I believe the greatest, one of the top 3 greatest stories in history. Okay, how many of you are familiar with Branch Rickey, the owner of the Yankees back in the day? Well, Branch Rickey owned the Brooklyn Dodgers, actually, the Brooklyn Dodgers. And at a time when people were judging others, not by their character, but by the color of their skin, he went on a mission. And he wanted to change major leagues. And he wanted to recruit somebody that could play baseball as good as all the white athletes. And he went and interviewed a ton of people. He sent out, letters, and he was looking for a black player that can get into the big leagues. And it had to be a special player because this special player had to be willing to put up with the abuse. And who did he find? He found Jackie Robinson. Okay, now, he brought him onto the team. What happened to Jackie Robinson when he was playing? People spit at him. His own teammates put razor blades in his shoes. When he'd put his shoes on, he'd cut his feet. When he played second base, they would dive in and they would cleat him. He had scars up and down his shin. They put him through tremendous abuse. And he was upset. And they told him, you cannot fight back. You have to hang in there. You have to hang in there. You cannot fight back, because if you fight back, then they're right. And the team was treating him bad. And finally, the captain of that team, Pee Wee Reese, stood up and said, look, guys, we're treating this our teammate really, really bad, and this has to stop. This absolutely has to stop. And so I'm going to support him. Who's with me and is going to support him? And one person stood up and said, I'm not going to support him. There's no way I'm playing with an N. And that dude got traded. Somebody else stood up and said, you know what? I'm going to support him. Another teammate said, I will support him. And they embraced this incredible leader. Now, did he go through some challenges? You ever feel that people are against you? You ever feel that your family is against you? As you go through the stair steps and you plug people into the system, I want you to think about Jackie Robinson. Think about the impact that he made. There's so many leadership examples. Did he have vision? Did he persevere? Some of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that man. By the way, this is before Rosa Parks stood up for herself. This is before Martin Luther King got in front of 100,000 people in Washington, D.C. This is 60 years ago. This represents the greatest element of change in history, in my opinion. I don't know if I would be here if it wasn't for that gentleman. Some of you wouldn't be married if it wasn't for that gentleman. I mean, the death threats and everything that he went through. I want you to think about that as you run through the system. And so my time is up, and I'm going to share with you, the last thing that I want to share with you is how this moment that we're sharing happened. I talked to Mr. Mike Cain. A few months ago. My question to Mr. Mike Cain was, listen, our team hasn't had a Circle of Champions member in a long time. What do we need to do to make sure that we have a Circle of Champions member? And Mike Cain said to me, well, first thing we need to do is we need to get the numbers up, and we need to get you on stage. And when he said that to me, my stomach hurt. I said, oh man, on stage? Really? And so I talked to him again. He looked at the numbers. He said, numbers are good. They're moving, the numbers are great. We're gonna consider you training on stage. Fantastic. I got the call. I'm training on stage, and people are coming up to me, and people are saying this to me. People are saying, Efrain, congratulations. Was it your dream to train at an Asian Nationals? You've been in this for 17 years. You must have been dreaming about this every day of your life. Other people are coming up to me telling me that it's their dream. And my answer was actually no. It wasn't my dream to train at a national. Not for a second was it a dream to get up here to train at a national. It never has, and it was after I talked to him, it was still not my dream. And so I'm flying home from Mexico last week. We're doing a tour, and I'm on the plane, and I'm asking myself, am I lying? Was it really my dream to train at a national? So Jim Rohn says journal. So I pull out my journals on the plane. I bring all my journals on my trips. And I went to the oldest journal entry, and I'm digging for a time in my life where I said, my dream is to train at a national. And I couldn't find one entry that said my dream was to train at a national. And so then I started replaying the moment. There has to be. And so the day that I got the call from Mr. Mike Cain that actually I was picked, we were in Cabo at a team recognition trip. And he's texting me, we're going back and forth, and my heart's shaking, and I'm like, okay, I got to talk to Mike Cain, and I talked to him. He calls me in the hotel room. I'm in the bed, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Mr. Cain? He's telling me, he's kind of messing with me for the first few minutes, and then he says, okay, good news and bad news. Here's the bad news, blah, blah, blah. Here's the good news. You're training. And so I'm listening to the words, and the only thing that I could do is cry. And then my wife in the corner notices what the conversation is and comes over and starts recording a video that I'm never going to watch, by the way. And I thought about it. Why was I crying? And I couldn't stop crying, and I said, and she wanted to tell everybody how, and I said, you're not telling anybody. I don't want anybody to know. You're not telling anybody. I'm not ready. Let me just deal with this. And so I realized something. Why was I crying? Because, see, I didn't think getting up here was possible. I didn't think this dream was possible. The reason I never put that dream in my journal is because I did not think getting in front of 20,000 people was ever going to be an option for me. That's why I never put it. So then why am I here? Let me tell you why I'm here. I plugged into the training, and at a training, and at plugging into the training in the regionals and leaderships, I met Mr. Larry Raskin. I met Mr. Mike Kane. I met Brian Sachs, Al Jace, Mike Basutti, Dean Turali, Marlene Brem, Jeff Battles, Jonas Neal, Stephen Payton, Jason and Liz Tisdale, Leonard Trojan. And see, they made this possible. They made a dream that I didn't even know was possible. So here's a goal. Plug in as many people to the trainings. Start tracking your numbers. How many people do you have here? Have more people at Cleveland. And I promise you, you cannot fail in this thing. As long as you don't quit, it is impossible to fail. It is impossible to fail as long as you don't quit. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.